Okay. May I suggest that we start here and we can still have other opportunities to introduce ourselves and say where we come from in the coming session. Welcome again to this learning session on quality, accountability to affected populations and safeguarding. And I would like to start upfront by saying that this is an incredible opportunity to have different countries and regions coming together to discuss the application, the implementation of standards, tools, and means that we have to uphold quality, accountability, and safeguarding in our working contexts. So we are coming all together from various countries in Asia and Syria. And I will explain in a while how this happened. But this is going to allow for some diversity and it will enrich the whole process we're having. So most of you have probably already indicated in the chat your name, function, organization, and country of work. If not, please do it so we can keep this and ensure that we have a proper recording of who attended this session. Who are you? We have had up to 60 participants saying they would join, and technology is allowing, we will have everybody joining through this half-day session. We were happy to have a very good balance, gender balance selection with half women, half men joining today and in the next session from up to 11 countries. Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Cambodia, China, India, Nepal, Pakistan, Korea, Syria, East Timor, and Japan. And you may wonder how comes we can discuss from such different contexts. Well, this is the point. What do we have in our hands that we call minimum standards? And how, for quality and accountability, of course. And how do we contextualize those? It's going to be very, very interesting to discuss contextualization together, being from a similar environment or very diverse or different environments. So this is going to be extremely exciting. And again, we have Syria Joint Response coordinated by ZOA Netherlands. The Syria Joint Response is made of 5 organizations: DOCAS, Oxfam, TDH, Terre des Hommes, Italy, ZOA, and CORDAID, and local partners. Here is the list, and I'm sure we will hear from each of you colleagues from Syria working in the different hubs. It's excellent that we have about 12 people from the Syria Joint Response member organizations and about 12 people too from the local partners. So it's a very good balance, and this was an objective for us. Then we have Community World Service Asia, Pakistan, Afghanistan, with a very significant number of participants from Pakistan and Afghanistan, but also from the rest of Asia. Through the regional approach that Community World Service Asia is having. And we have Bangladesh, Cambodia, China, India, Nepal, Korea, East Timor, and Japan who've come together. We will have more details about who you are in a minute, but I wanted to say here that there are similar approaches around the world on quality and accountability. And a good thing, the only maybe good thing for us linked to the pandemic is that we've learned to work remotely and to work better together from one region to another. And this has created this opportunity to come together for a few sessions online and have this joint approach on quality and accountability through this week and next week. And I will again describe this more in detail just after. Now, I would like to hand over to you, Khurram. Maybe introduce yourself and run us through the housekeeping rules for this session and the upcoming ones. Thank you, Khurram.
Thank you, Sylvie, and welcome everyone. Would like to say welcome and would like to request you all that I'm very excited to have you all to be part of this virtual learning series. Sylvie just gave the introduction of the quality and accountability to affected populations regarding series to you. So one topic talking about much about the series, but much about my interest and my excitement on learning from your experiences. As you see that we have a very diverse and very experienced group selected for this virtual learning series, and we are looking forward for having some exciting insight from your field experience, from your jobs, and from your organizations, which will contribute to ultimately strengthen the quality and accountability in our programs, in the program of humanitarian development sectors, and will also benefit other organizations working in different contexts. Just want to introduce Community World Service Asia. I'm working with the organization. CWS is member of the Core Humanitarian Standard Alliance, CHS Alliance, and also the Sphere regional partner. As an organization, we have a strong commitment to uphold quality and accountability in all contexts, in all situations, in Pakistan and in the region. As a Sphere regional member and CHS Alliance member, we are also promoting quality and accountability in the region with organizations and networks we are part of. And we have also promoted quality and accountability in Pakistan. And in Pakistan, we are focusing on strengthening the systems, procedures, and processes of the local organization, working directly with the communities at the grassroots level, because they are the first responder in any emergency or in any situation of crisis. So there is a need to build their capacity and to make them more strong and have a strong voice from the communities to uphold quality and accountability in all situations. For that, we are promoting standards not only with the local organization, but also developing some messages, some guidelines in the local language to educate communities as well. For this, we have translated the Sphere Handbook into Urdu, and now we are in the process of translating Sphere Handbook into Dari for the use in Afghanistan in the current context, because as you know, the situation involved from the August requires a strong commitment from the humanitarian sector and the organization working with the communities to uphold quality and accountability while responding to the emerging need and the situation developed by the takeover of Taliban in Afghanistan. We have also done some Q&A audit in past with some of the local and national organizations, and we are promoting the use of Sphere standard, the core humanitarian standard, and not only by through trainings, but with customized support like coaching and mentoring, technical assistance, and series like one we are having with Sylvie. So thank you very much, and looking forward for a very good and healthy discussion with you during this series. Sorry, Sylvie, the slide is not showing up.
Yeah, thank you, Khurram. Maybe you want to introduce the whole Community World Service Asia team on board.
Yeah.
So we have Zainab and Zunera together with you, Khurram. Zainab, do you want to comment, please?
Hi everyone, I'm Zainab Mir. I'm working with Community World Service Asia as project officer. I'm happy to be part of this learning series on quality and accountability with affected population and safeguarding. My role in this is of coordination with you all, and I'll be sending lots of emails over a time period during the series. And I'm very excited to be part of this learning series and looking forward to lots of learning from you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Zainab and Kuram. Zunera, you introduced yourself earlier, but maybe just to say hi again. Is Zunera with us still?
Yes.
Hi, Zunera.
Hello.
So again, you're with us to take note and to record as much as possible what is being discussed so that we ensure that lessons or shared stories are recorded, written, and that we can use this as a within our sharing approach along the process. So thank you so much for this. Thank you. Okay. So this is the team from Community World Service Asia. And we have together Dina and Corita from ZOA, who are coordinating the Syria joint response for the side of the participation from Syria. Dina, do you want to introduce ZOA and your role with the Syria joint response, please?
Yes, thank you very much, Sylvie, and thank you all.
Sorry, Dina, if you want to put your camera on.
Sorry, I can't. I have a technical issue, so I was trying.
Okay.
Maybe next session.
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Dina. I'm from Damascus, Syria. I work with ZOA. I'm the Syria Joint Response Field Coordinator. As Sylvie mentioned earlier, so our consortium is, I would like, sorry. Our consortium consists of 5 INGOs and many local members. We are funded by Dutch Relief Alliance, which is also funded by the Dutch MOFA. We have been working together in Syria since 2015 as a response to the Syrian crisis. ZOA is a consortium lead. Our donor have 4 strategic pillars, and one of them is to focus on accountability. In 2020, as a consortium members, we have started to focus on the CHS with our SGR members and our local members as well. We have conducted series of training together. And in 2021, we have decided with all of us, like with consortium members and our local members, to focus on the next steps and to go the extra mile together. So this is how we got into this series of learning, which I hope you will all enjoy. And it will be very useful for all of us to learn from each other experience and to link what we are all doing in the ground, because I believe what we are doing is very valuable to assist the most people in need. And it will be a great opportunity for all of us. Over to you. Also, as Zainab mentioned, my role will be to coordinate on Syria level. So if you have anything or you need anything, you can reach me easily. You have my email number, you have my email and my contact details. Thank you all. And
yeah. Thank you so much, And just to reiterate that you're coordinating for the Syria participants. So please do be in touch with Dina as needed along the process. Thank you, Dina, for this.
Thanks. Over to you, Sylvie.
Thank you. Corita, do you want to introduce yourself from ZOA and Dina's colleague?
Hello. So
hello, welcome.
Good morning, good afternoon. So indeed, my name is Corita. I'm working for ZOA. I'm based in the Netherlands, working from the headquarters, where I am supporting different countries on issues, topics related to peace building, conflict sensitivity, do no harm. And I've recently visited Syria. So it's really my pleasure to see at least the names and some of the faces of the people that I've met in December, and also very happy to join for this learning event, and to see that so many people from so many different countries and organizations are attending.
Thank you, Dina. Thank you so much for joining us from the Netherlands. And I'm the unlucky one joining from France. I'd like to be in Damascus or Pakistan, Afghanistan, etc. But we'll come and visit soon, provided the situation allows. So again, we are getting together, and we will start by sharing a number of what we call rules, isn't it, or principles regarding the way we want to function through these sessions. As we all know, it seems obvious at the beginning, but then when the debates are starting and we have a lot to say, we get excited and sometimes we do forget those points. So I think it's important to go back to those key principles and again, so-called rules. And we have Khurram to lead us through this. Khurram, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvie. Thank you all. Today's session is scheduled for about 4 hours. There will be in between break, like Sylvie mentioned. We will request you to not pin your video, but you may keep your video on so we can see you and keep you engaged. But if you are facing internet connectivity issue, then you may turn off your video. All attendees will be muted to avoid background noises. So once you have spoken your comment or shared your opinion or point, please mute your mic. You can use the Q&A feature or the chat box for interactions. You can be an active user by posting chat box. You can communicate with us and you can also communicate with each other. We will use polling features to make the session interactive and engaging and to have your say, to have your voice and see how you are operating and working. This webinar will be recorded and I hope you all will be fine with the recording because most of the time participants do ask for a recording or they want to see learn from the experiences or from the discussions held on the virtual sessions. So these recordings are available on our website and these recordings are used for the reporting, internal reporting and documentation purpose. So if anyone have any reservation, he or she can share with me or Zainab later at the end of the session today. Thank you very much. Over to you, Sylvie.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Khurram. Dina, I think you wanted to share one information on translation issues. Over to you.
Yes. Thanks, Khurram, and thanks, Sylvie. So for Arabic speaker, unfortunately today there will be no Arabic translation, live translation. So, but for the next sessions, we will try our best to solve this problem. Meanwhile, in the breakout rooms, we will be split according to our countries. So I'm asking you all like to help each other. So while we will be in the breakout rooms, so one focal point will be assigned to talk on behalf of the group, and then you can help each other in the translation to translate your ideas. Okay. Over to you, Sylvie.
Thank you, Dina. And as you shared, yeah, there will be group work so people can use their mother tongue to communicate. And for the next session, we will see how we can adjust better to all language needs. What I would like to say here also is that we are a very diverse group. So let's try and apply our own principles, and we will go through those as principles we want to apply in our work. But let's apply this firstly with us, meaning respecting each other's, respecting all points of views, but also allowing participation from everybody in the group and in the room. So if you see that some colleagues are not coming in or not joining, participating, please leave the space. And again, respecting all points of views will be key in our discussions. Thanks in advance for this. Are there any questions at this stage before I'm starting with presenting the process? Is there any question regarding the organization of this learning journey? Please write in the chat if there is any question, and we will make sure that we do respond to it. Meanwhile, I will start with presenting this process. You all received the basic information about not only the process, but also how it will run. What I want to recall here is what is the strategy behind it, and how we are planning to work together. This is a learning journey. We are not going to have an ad hoc session online and then say good luck everybody and go back to our work. We will spend more time together. And it's key to understand that we have those sessions online, and there will be a number of them, but we will also work through having what we call improvement plans. We will work together to design those plans, and we will provide coaching to monitor those plans, to see how we go on with implementing what we've said we would improve. Along the process, we will surely learn at individual level, organizational level, and cross organizations and regions. And this will allow us to think about the next steps. So these are the key steps I wanted to highlight here. We are not having only one session or few sessions together. We are really having a much more holistic approach and ensuring there is some improvement through the journey. We've had too many ad hoc sessions, ad hoc events, and then we stay alone with our learning and have to implement with our teams in our context, but not so much backup and support. Here, we do really want to ensure that we have this support in a medium term. So there will be those virtual learning sessions, 2 per week, this week and next week. There will be this improvement plan with coaching to design it and monitor it. And the M&E or MIL colleagues in the room will recognize themselves here in the process. And again, overall learnings through 2022. What I'd like to say here is that we will talk about the people-centered approach. This is exactly where, being from different locations, different organizations, doesn't mind so much. What we want is really to ensure that we get back to people and from this people-centered approach perspective. So how do we have a common port, common understanding, common learning, and use this to draw the next steps in the benefit of the people? Very important here. We will go slowly. We will go step by step. But we will achieve a number of very tangible outputs step by step. We don't want to go fast. We don't want to write a commitment again and say, this is it, we are there, we've done that, tick the box. No, this is not the point. We know it's not easy to implement quality, accountability to affected populations, safeguarding. We are talking of big objectives. We have a lot of tools, but it's not easy in specific contexts to apply, to implement those tools and approaches we have. So we'll go step by step. We will ensure that we share, we discuss, we put together our learning and progress on some very key aspects that are our priority in our own context. I think this image is really important to our process. So the aim here is to have committed actors, and this is absolutely key. We want people who believe in quality, accountability to affected population, safeguarding as a global approach and commitment, and look into implementing better through project and program cycle. We want contextualization, localization, and learning, but not only under buzzwords. We really want to make it happen, and we want this to make sense in your own context. We want this to translate into practical steps. So by the end of these sessions and this process, you will be able to identify those key initiatives. Some of you will know them already very well, but there are always some updates and new tools, etc. So you will be provided with updated information. But you will also be able to outline better what are the challenges or the limitations and the opportunities. And of course, mitigate those limitations and build upon opportunities, as well as ensure that coordination is bringing richness, that we are stronger together instead of adding a burden and more reporting, etc. And finally, this process will enable, and this is a tangible output, this process will enable an improvement plan on CHS related aspects. So here you will have few key areas that will be worked out through the process and will allow you to really build up practically some aspects of the application of quality and accountability. The target audience for this process, we said we wanted people from the field, people working concretely in the hubs, in the regions, in the countries, with communities, local partners, local national organizations. We wanted a gender-sensitive selection, and we wanted people engaged in promoting core humanitarian standards related topics, meaning quality, accountability, safeguarding, and having interest and experience in implementing those topics. We also would like to emphasize here the very, very strong need to attend all sessions. This is not going to be a number of very similar sessions, and you can attend one out of all of them. There is a process, a dynamic, and it would be a pity to lose one session, because then you would lose one dot in the process, and the line would be broken. So please ensure that you attend all the sessions. We need you on board with your experience to make this process lively. This week, today, we have the first session called Learn. What we want here is to hear from you. What's happening at field level? What is working well or not so well? We want to listen everybody from the various locations, and we want to share experiences on quality and accountability implementation. The second session on Thursday is called Update. It will allow to refresh and update on key initiatives, guidance, and tools. We will also hear stories of utilization and application by all of you. We will have, for the update session, colleagues from the CHS Alliance, the Core Humanitarian Standard Alliance, and from SPHERE as part of the Humanitarian Standards Partnership. SPHERE colleagues will join us to provide an update on those initiatives, what they are drawn on, and also what is new, what has been produced within the past years based on implementation in the world, and what is available today. So it will be very interesting to have this update for all of us in short time, benefiting from information that is really, really needed at field level. Then next week, we have a session called Panel. And here we will discuss much more cutting issues. For example, what about contextualization? What does it mean? The do no harm approach, understanding the context, localization, and other topics like what are the key areas, the key actions we need to have in place or to design to ensure that quality and accountability is really happening for communities. For example, CFMs, complaints and feedback mechanisms. Are they in place? Are they functioning? Do we have safe reporting for cases of sexual exploitation and abuse? What about capacity building and localization, capacity building and training at local levels? Is this happening? Etc., etc. We will have external colleagues, experts coming in, but you will be the experts documenting, sharing how this is implemented and what limitations, but also opportunities you're facing in the field. So this panel session will be extremely rich, involving national, regional, and global actors and networks. Then we will split into subgroups, and we will head into what is called a clinic session at the end of next week, where we will start working together on highlighting what are the main issues you want to work on in your specific context. We know that we have such a wide range of topics and issues we would like, in theory, to work on when we talk about quality, accountability, safeguarding. But what is feasible in your context and what is your most pressing topic will be discussed there. And it will be followed by the design of improvement plans where you will discuss internally within your organization on what are the 2, 3, maybe 4 maximum key areas you want to work on. And there will be coaching sessions to accompany the design of those improvement plans, but also their monitoring along the weeks, so that you really can progress and you really can seek support where needed to work on your plans. Throughout, we will record and capitalize experiences and share back with you. This is leading us into June, mid-2022, where we could have a regional or global gathering coming back together. It could be hybrid, it could be mixed online and face-to-face for those who can travel, who could meet in an easy place to gather all. We could meet to review together what has been done, where we are at, and this could pave the way for the upcoming month and years. So again, this is going to be a slow process because we want it to be slow. We want to take time. We know you're over busy with your work. We know you have a lot of priorities, even emergencies. So we'll take time. There is no rush. If you want to do things well, we need to give it the time it deserves. And we will be there to support and to coach the process. So thank you for listening this. It takes a little bit of time, but it's really, really important that the dynamic is understood by us all and that we need to be here in all sessions so that it makes sense. This is really a process. And I would like to stop here and get your comments, questions. So please raise your hands. You will be given the floor. Be brief. We don't get into examples from the field now, but share your questions or comments or suggestions, and we will or respond to that or record them. Thank you. Over to you, all of you, for your feedback. There is a comment in the chat. Yes, I strongly agree to the words of Sylvie that in true sense of localization, this series of sessions have been designed and local organizations are part of this learning forum. Yes, this is what we want. More comments? Questions? Please do feel free. Yes? One more.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Sorry,
Yeah.
will we be asked for having any strategy to prepare, like from each country, like from Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Syria, like to prepare some strategy on accountability or share like learning, compile learning at the end of that session, hopefully in June?
Yes, thank you very much. This can be a discussion for countries or even regions. Is there, for example, an accountability framework in place? If not, do we want to have it? Do we want to have a joint approach formalized? Yeah, this can be discussed. We can see what is in place, or we can see what could be designed within your coordination mechanisms at regional, national, local levels. And also, I'm seeing in the chat box a question on materials. Yes, of course, we will share as much as possible, but you're very much encouraged to share what you are using with us, and we will make it available for the whole group. I'm seeing also a comment on you would like to learn more about the tools that could be used for children safeguarding issues and how to plan a real strategy to maintain these kinds of policies. Yeah, and here we will be able to dig, especially through the CPMS, the Child Protection Minimum Standards, or what is existing in terms of standards. But we could also see that we have a number of colleagues being experts or involved in a children safeguarding. So yes, this will be discussed. More
Thank you so much.
Comments? Thank you. Okay, maybe suggestion. Let's start. Yes, sorry, one more comment.
Sylvie, actually, I want to share with the group that we talk more about the quality and accountability and safeguarding issues. And we do have policies, and policies are very well defined with different organizations because we have plenty of experienced professionals here in the forum as well. But my point is that we need to be more open to actual practices regarding the implementation of those policies at the ground level, what the challenges we are facing as a humanitarian practitioner, so that on this forum we can collectively resolve those issues and find the solutions for the true implementation of safeguarding policies, and especially related to the accountability, because saying the accountability is very easy, but being accountable is very difficult, especially in the humanitarian context. Thank you.
Kamar Iqbal, thank you so much. This is a very good way to kind of close this first introductory part and shift into why are we here together. We have a lot of, let's say, theory and yes, policies and strategies, but when we come to our daily work, it's much more complex than it looks on the paper. And this is why we will spend time together reviewing, on one hand, what is available in terms of standards, tools, etc., but also how we can apply this throughout the project cycle, when we manage our projects in the field, what is feasible, what is not, and how do we act in certain context of, for example, complex emergencies in which you work. What is a must and what is a should or could, but what is the must? What is the red line? And how do we ensure that we apply at a minimum level our basic principles? This is all what we are going to discuss. And to kickstart, I would like to give the floor to Khurram for a short exercise. Khurram, are we fine for the next part of the session, please?
Yes, Sylvie.
Over to you.
Next, we have few polls questions for you to answer. I hope most of you are familiar with Slido. Otherwise, we will learn around as we go by this. I am sharing a link with you in the chat box. If you all click on the link, you will find some questions. I hope you all can access the link.
Yes, Khurram, but I'm not sure the question is coming in.
Question will be coming there, Sylvie.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So if everybody has clicked on the link from the chat box, maybe we can send the first question.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first question, as you see on your screen, is write the name of the standard and tool related to quality and accountability that you know and use. So if you write, please.
So for example, I know sphere. Okay, let's go for sphere. Yes. Then if you know any other, just continue. And write as many as you can. Names of standards and tools related to quality and accountability that you know and use, meaning you are using in your daily work. Okay.
Sylvie, may I come in just once and
Please.
say something? Yeah.
Yes.
For Syria, please use Siphon or VPN so you can open the link. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Over to you, Khurram. Thank you.
Thank you, Dina.
Is Slido accessible in Syria?
Yeah, it should be, but we need to use the Siphon or
Okay.
VPN.
Okay, so you have this barcode as well, and if you go on Slido, you can use this code 535351. Then you will also access this poll. So
I think, Khurram, we have only 5 people who have joined at Slido because there might be some
yes,
issue with the people. So as many as people are there, so we have multiple responses
yeah.
from them. Yeah.
So if other are facing any problem, do let me know.
Okay. So maybe we can go through, Khurram, this result and then tackle
We
the
can
next
go to
questions.
next question. Sure.
So here we see mostly CH as the core humanitarian
Yeah.
standard and sphere. Now,
Yeah.
have you already attended a training on quality and
Sorry.
accountability?
Yeah.
Next question. Yes,
You can
no.
click yes or no. 50.
Yes, no. Well, this is a good balance.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
We have 10 responses out of 34.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Half. Training
Half.
can be formal or less formal. Who's been, versed into presentations on quality and accountability? It can be training, presentation, training of trainers, etc.
Okay.
Yeah, half. Good.
So should we go to the next
Yes,
questions?
please.
Yeah. Okay. Do you find it easy to implement quality and accountability? Wow.
Please be honest. Yeah. I think we have to acknowledge that, yes, in a way, we do implement, we do our best, and there are some tools that are quite straightforward, isn't it? But in our context, it's often not so easy, and we see limitations and challenges, and probably this is reflected here in the result, with nearly 70% saying, no, it's not easy.
Yeah.
And it's very good that we do share that here, so that we go from a common background and start from this statement. Over to you, Khurram, for the next one.
Yeah. Give me a second, Shirley.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Or maybe, Khurram, let's stay with this.
Okay, Sylvie.
We would like now to take a few minutes, and again, with the objective of having this common background, look together at the short introductory video from the Core Humanitarian Standard Alliance. So, Khurram, please, can we put this video, and Dina, if any issue for you in Syria to connect, please tell us, but we will take a few minutes to look back at this video and ensure that we all have this in our minds for the next steps. Thank you, Khurram and Dina.
Okay. Should I play the video, Sylvie?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay.
تؤدي الأزمات إلى تفاقم أوضاع الفئات الضعيفة أصلاً. حينها يجب على المنظمات الإنسانية استخدام ما لديها من قدرات وموارد على نحو مسؤول بشكل يوفر للمجتمعات والأشخاص المتضررين الوسائل الممكنة لمساءلة تلك المنظمات. تأسس تحالف المعايير الإنسانية الأساسية عام 2015 ليجمع أكثر من عقدين من الخبرة في مجالات الجودة والمساءلة وإدارة الموارد البشرية. يتمثل جوهر عمل هذا التحالف في المعايير الإنسانية الأساسية، والتي تتكون من 9 التزامات يمكن للمنظمات والأفراد بمجال العمل الإنساني استخدامها لتحسين جودة وفعالية المساعدات التي يقدموها. يدفعنا مبدأ التكافل الإنساني عند وقوع الكوارث إلى المشاركة بما لدينا من موارد وخبرات، على أمل أن تكون مساهمتنا مجدية، ولكن أحياناً يحدث تباين بين ما نريد تقديمه وما هو الأنسب أو الأكثر إلحاحاً. لضمان أن تكون الاستجابة الإنسانية ملائمة وذات صلة، يجب إجراء تحليل للسياق بالإضافة إلى الاحتياجات وقدرات المجموعات المختلفة. من أجل أن تكون الاستجابة الإنسانية فعالة، يجب أن تتم في التوقيت المناسب، ويعني هذا أحياناً التحرك بسرعة، وأحياناً أخرى يعني التنسيق الزمني والتشاور مع المجتمعات بشأن الاستجابة الإنسانية للأزمات الموسمية. حتى مع أفضل النوايا يمكن أن تكون لبرامجنا آثاراً سلبية، فقبل تخطيط وتنفيذ الاستجابة الإنسانية يجب ضمان تقليل الآثار السلبية المحتملة على الاقتصاد المحلي أو سبل العيش أو البيئة أو سلامة الناس أو التماسك الاجتماعي. يجب التفكير في تعزيز التعاون بين الأطراف المحلية والقطرية والدولية وتعزيز القدرات المحلية. إن معرفة التزامات المنظمات الإنسانية يمكن المجتمعات والأشخاص المتضررين من الأزمات من مساءلة هذه المنظمات. يجب إشراك المجتمعات من خلال توفير المعلومات والتواصل بلغات وأشكال ووسائل يسهل فهمها وملائمة ثقافياً ومتاحة للجميع، ويجب تشجيعهم على تقديم انطباعاتهم وتعليقاتهم. قد يحدث خطأ ما بالرغم من كافة الجهود المبذولة، وهنا يجب أن يتوفر لدى المجتمعات والأشخاص المتضررين من الأزمة الوعي والقدرة على الوصول لآليات آمنة وفعالة لمعالجة الشكاوى. قد تؤدي الأزمة الإنسانية إلى واقع مضطرب ومربك، خصوصاً عند استجابة عدد من المنظمات في وقت واحد. يجب أن تتلقى المجتمعات والأشخاص المتضررون من الأزمة مساعدة منسقة ومكملة، بالإضافة إلى تحديد أدوار ومسؤوليات مختلف الجهات المعنية، مما سيخفف العبء عن المجتمعات ويزيد من الأثر القوي للاستجابة. من الطبيعي وقوع الأخطاء خصوصاً في بيئات العمل المعقدة، ومع ذلك تتوقع المجتمعات والأشخاص المتضررين من الأزمة الحصول على مساعدة نوعية فيما تتعلم المنظمات من التجارب. يجب الاستفادة من الدروس المستخلصة من الأزمات وسياقات مماثلة قبل تصميم برامجكم. استمعوا إلى آراء وتعليقات المجتمع لتكييف أعمالكم معها، وأشركوا الأطراف الأخرى كي يتعلموا هم أيضاً. يمكن للموظفين الذين يتمتعون بكفاءة وإدارة جيدة أن يحسنوا من مستوى الخطة الموضوعة، ولكن لا يمكن لأي خطة جيدة أن تنجح بدون العاملين ذوي القيم والمهارات المناسبة. يجب دعم الموظفين للقيام بعملهم على نحو فعال ومعاملتهم بإنصاف. لتكون الجهود الإنسانية فعالة، ينبغي على المنظمات التي تساعد إدارة الموارد واستخدامها على نحو مسؤول، مثلاً الحد من الهدر أو اتخاذ التدابير المناسبة للحد من الاحتيال والفساد، أو الأخذ بعين الاعتبار التأثير على البيئة عند استخدام الموارد المحلية والطبيعية. تحدد المعايير الإنسانية الأساسية العناصر الضرورية للتحرك الإنساني القائم على المبادئ الإنسانية والمساءلة والجودة. إن توفر مبدأ المساءلة أمام الجماعات المتضررة يمكن أن يغير من الطريقة التي تقدم فيها المساعدات. يمكن تحقيق ذلك بسهولة من خلال تحالف المعايير الإنسانية الأساسية الموجود ليساعدكم. وإذا ما تعاهدنا معاً على وضع هذه المعايير موضع التطبيق، فسنضع المساعدات الإنسانية بموقع المساءلة أمام الناس الذين
So this was the Arabic version. Now I will share the English version with you. Just give me a second, please.
Crises often further undermine the situation of already vulnerable people. In such situations, humanitarian organizations have a lot of power. It is important for these organizations to use their power and resources responsibly. For example, by giving affected people and communities a voice and the means necessary to hold the organizations to account. The CHS Alliance, established in 2015, brings together more than 2 decades of experience in quality, accountability, and people management. Central to the work of the CHS Alliance is the Core Humanitarian Standard, a set of 9 commitments that organizations and individuals involved in humanitarian response can use to improve the quality and effectiveness of the assistance they provide. When disaster strikes, Solidarity pushes us to share our resources and expertise, hoping that our contribution will be meaningful. Sometimes, however, there can be a mismatch between what we want or can offer and what is most appropriate or needed. To ensure humanitarian response is appropriate and relevant, make sure you analyse the context as well as the needs and capacities of communities. In order to be effective, humanitarian response needs to be timely. In some instances, it means as quick as possible. In other instances, it means matching seasonal calendars or simply keeping deadlines shared with communities. Even with the best intentions, our actions can have negative consequences. Before planning and implementing a humanitarian response, ensure that you minimise the negative consequence a response could have on the local economy and livelihoods, the environment, people's safety, or social cohesion. Think about how to increase collaboration between local, national, and international actors, and how to strengthen local capacities. Knowing what humanitarian organisations have committed to enables communities and people affected by crisis to hold these organisations to account. Make sure you engage with communities by sharing information in languages, formats, and media that are easily understood, culturally appropriate, and accessible to all, and encouraging them to give feedback. If despite of your best efforts, something goes wrong, communities and people affected by crisis should be aware of and have access to safe and response complaint mechanisms. A humanitarian crisis can be chaotic and confusing, especially with a multitude of organisations responding at the same time. Communities and people affected by crisis should receive coordinated, complementary assistance. So ensure you know who is doing what. This way, you can reduce the demands on communities and increase the impact of the response. It is normal to make mistakes, especially in complex environments. However, communities and people affected by crisis expect to receive quality assistance as organisations learn from experience and reflection. Before designing your programmes, ensure you take on board lessons learned from similar crises and contexts. Listen to community feedback to adapt what you do, sharing your learning with others so they can learn too. Competent, well-supported staff can fix a poorly designed plan. But even the perfect plan is unlikely to succeed if you don't have people with appropriate values and skills. Ensure your staff are supported to do their job effectively and are treated fairly. In order to ensure humanitarian efforts are effective, aid organisations need to manage and use resources responsibly. This means, for example, minimising waste, taking measures to limit the risk of fraud and corruption, or considering environmental impact when using local and natural resources. As a core standard, the CHS outlines the essential elements of principled, accountable, and quality humanitarian action. Being accountable to affected populations and staff can transform the way aid is delivered. Achieving this is simple, and the CHS Alliance is here to help you. If together we commit to putting the core humanitarian standard into practice,
Thank you very much, Sylvie. Back to you.
Thank you, Khurram, and thank you for sharing both Arabic and English versions with us. I want to take few minutes here to reshare some definitions of those keywords we're going to use all along the sessions, this session and the upcoming ones, and ensure that we have this key common understanding, isn't it? So just give me 1 second. Here we are. I will use those definitions from the core humanitarian standard. Of course, we can all start to discuss and argue on what it means, what it entails, how it should be maybe better contextualized, etc. But the point is to have this common language, common understanding, and really keep it in mind throughout the sessions. When we talk about quality, we do consider the totality of features and characteristics of humanitarian assistance that support its ability to in time satisfy stated or implied needs and expectations, and respect the dignity of the people it aims to assist. It's important, and here I'm calling upon our MIL colleagues to keep in mind that we are using all those criteria we use for monitoring and evaluation: relevancy, effectiveness, efficiency, impact, sustainability. Our key added value here when we mention quality is the respect of the dignity of the people we aim to assist. About accountability. Accountability is the process of using power responsibly, taking account of, and being held accountable by different stakeholders, and primarily those who are affected by the exercise of such power. We heard it quite well in the previous presentation, the video. We talk about power, the power we have when we are delivering assistance, and how we use it towards the communities. So this, again, is a key aspect for us. Safeguarding. There are so many definitions of safeguarding and what it entails that it was a bit difficult to find one that is encompassing all our concerns and objectives. Safeguarding broadly means preventing harm to people and the environment in the delivery of development and humanitarian assistance. So here we can see the prevention aspect, the do no harm approach, and we will discuss this through the next sessions. This is entailed into the core humanitarian standards. It's very interesting also to mention here the combination of development and humanitarian assistance. We will talk about the so-called nexus. How do we consider the context without focusing only on one aspect being humanitarian or the other one being development? This is very, very key to do no harm and safeguarding. So let's keep these definitions in mind, but let's also recall that we are coming from a broader framework that draws on our beliefs, commitments, and on understanding our roles and responsibilities. We have a background with ethical principles and legal rights. And we will get back through the humanitarian charter embedded into Sphere. We will discuss codes of conduct. We will, of course, develop what is the core humanitarian standard and what are the humanitarian standards partnership initiatives, including Sphere, who are translating our beliefs and our principles. So the next session in 2 days will enable us to dig into what is the CHS, the core humanitarian standard. What has been designed lately? What about the humanitarian standards partnership with Sphere, but also a number of other standards initiatives, as for example, the one we were mentioning before, the child protection minimum standards, humanitarian inclusion standards, legs with livestock issues, livestock and livelihoods, INE with education in emergencies, cash with CALP, and the minimum economic recovery standards. So those are the ones we will focus on, but if there is any other you want to review together, then please suggest and feel free to share those with us. I will stop here. We can take a moment for questions, comments, adding, suggestions. Please take the floor as you wish. Thank you. You can also use the chat box. I'm seeing a comment in the chat, community at the center. Yes, this is all coming together through what we call the people-centered approach. And this is why we will get back through the project cycle or the program cycle. How do we apply all this within our project activities or program activities and link it up to communities and people directly? Okay, the sake is not to have a nice proposal, a nice statement on quality and accountability, but really to make sure that we have translated this into practical actions that benefit communities and people. More comments or inputs?
Sylvie, are we going to go through all the different standards you have mentioned, like LEGS or CALP or INEE, or we will be just overviewing these?
We will be, thank you for your question. Yeah, we will be overviewing, but if you want to dig into one specifically, if you have a very targeted interest into one of those standards, please write to us and we will sure we accommodate your wish.
As many of colleagues are from the monitoring and evaluation background, so I suggest that if we can add or include in that, there is a sphere handbook specifically for monitoring and evaluation. If we can add that, so it might be more useful for persons or people who are from the monitoring and evaluation background. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, we can use this. Yeah. And maybe we can have a specific group work on M&E for everybody. Yeah, thank you. Any other comment or suggestion? Khurram, we, as stated in the invitation, we had planned to stop here for 25 minutes now. Can we have this break? Can we ask all of you to stay connected and join back the session in 25 minutes for a group work? So everybody is noted to be in a specific group. So please be back in 25 minutes sharp so we can start the group work and dig into how do we apply quality and accountability? What are our limitations and opportunities? And what actions must be undertaken at a minimal level to uphold our standards in our work? Thank you very much. Khurram, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Sylvie. Thank you all for the first session. Like Sylvie mentioned, we have now break for 25 minutes. You can stay tuned in. Just put your mic at mute and stop sharing your video. You can have a break, tea break, have some snacks, get fresh, and be back in 25 minutes. So see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Meet in 25 minutes. Thank you, Khurram. Thank you for calling us back. Everyone stayed connected, so I suppose we can consider that everyone is on board. Welcome back. Hoping you had time for a small break, a drink, and are ready for the group work. So this is going to be a passionate moment. What we are going to discuss here is really the opening of the debate. And we want to ensure that we start digging into what are our real issues. I'll put here on the screen the instructions for the group work, and you will see that we have two huge questions that are probably some of the most important ones for us all. One question to the group will be, while applying quality and accountability in your work, what limitations and opportunities are you facing in your specific context? Of course, we all have in mind a number of those, but what in priority is blocking you from applying quality and accountability, including safeguarding? And what are opportunities? But the main ones, if you can discuss this jointly in your group, this is the purpose. Second question is, in your views, what key actions must be undertaken at a minimal level to uphold quality and accountability in your context? If you had to choose only few key actions, what would those be? Let me give you an example. Maybe in one specific location, you will say, oh, for me, this is definitely complaints and feedback mechanism. It's a must. This is really what we need to enhance. In another place, you would say, oh, this is really around enabling true participation and decision-making of communities, with communities. In another place, you may say, oh, here we really, really need advocacy. We need to discuss about principles and do some advocacy. So we want you to discuss what would be the must in your context. Please name a reporter when you start the group work. And this person, the reporter, will provide feedback to the plenary. And the feedback should fit into 5 minutes. So everybody will have time to share feedback from all the groups. And we've made 4 groups. One will be with colleagues from Afghanistan being together, and a facilitator will be Kuram. One second group will allow people from Pakistan together, as well as the rest of Asian countries. And this group will be facilitated by Zainab and Zunera. Syria will be split in 2 groups. So Syria participants from group 1 will be with Dina and myself, and Syria participants from group 2 will be with Corita. So the facilitators will be there only to ensure that the discussion is focusing on those 2 questions, and that everybody has a voice, that we really want to hear everybody and to listen to your experience and views from the location where you work, from your field context. So you have 20 minutes in the group to discuss, and then we gather back in plenary and we will listen to every group's feedback. I suggest that if there are questions on how it should run or clarifying the questions, you do this at the beginning of the group work. So for now, Kuram, you will send us into the 4 groups and you will gather us back in 20 minutes. Enjoy the discussion, everybody, and looking forward to the feedback in 20 minutes. Over to you, Kuram.
Thank you, Sylvie. Now I will open the room. As Sylvie mentioned, Pakistan and rest of Asia will go to the Pakistan and rest of Asia group. Afghanistan persons will go to Afghanistan group. We have 2 groups for Syria, 1 and 2. So you can choose either of the group. I will manage the group to ensure that equal number of people are in both Syrian groups. So I am opening the room so you can choose and you can directly go to your groups. Colleagues from Afghanistan, please choose Afghanistan. Croatia, you may join group Syria group 2. And Dina, you are in group 1. Zainab, you also have to join group 1. Mohib, you want to join which group?
Hello, sir. I disconnected actually. I don't know where
You are
we
from
are now.
Afghanistan? You are from
Yes,
Afghanistan?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
I am sending you. Yeah. Shima, you are from Syria. Zainab,
Yes.
you have to go to group
Yeah,
Pakistan.
I know, but there's only one person over there, Kamar.
Because there is no one from
Rest of the
Asia.
world. Yes, yes. No one from
There
rest
was
of
one person.
There was Lubna when I saw initially, but now she's not even here.
Can we ask Kamar to join another group?
Huh. Can we do that?
No, I don't think so. Maybe you can discuss with Kamar and Kamar can present. You both.
Khurram?
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm. Selvi, you are back.
Yes, I'm back.
Ah,
So a few people are left, isn't it here?
yes, yes, yes. Few
I
people
see
left.
Shima.
She is not, I think, back, and so she can't hear us. Shima, can you hear us?
She is back. Yeah, she just wrote.
Okay. So you can join.
Shima Sabag, I see Islam, no?
She's from Afghanistan, I think.
Ah, okay. But Kuram, this is your room, is it?
Yes, I am
sorry.
moving Sheena to the, yes, that group. Okay.
Sylvie?
Yes, Zainab?
Okay, should we ask Kamar to move to another room because he's the only person there in Pakistan and rest of Asia?
Okay, sure.
Okay. Thanks.
Hello, I'm checking the internet.
Shima, yeah. Is your internet okay?
Yeah, a little bit. I can hear you right now.
Okay, good. Zainab, can you please direct Shima to a group?
Sure, I'll do that.
Thank you, Zainab and Shima.
Shima, can you please join Afghanistan group?
I think it's I'm in Afghanistan group.
No, you need to join that group. Your name is there, but you have not joined it.
Okay, I'll check.
Thanks.
What?
Sylvie?
Yes.
Okay, so Zinera is moving from one group to another just to check and see. Okay.
Okay.
She's
Thank you.
being in every group for a while.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
No problem.
Hi, Zanab.
Yes, Sylvie.
All okay?
Yep, all okay. I'm also just going to go to different rooms and because everyone's left.
Yeah.
So just to do a check.
Okay. Bye. Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Slowly, every group is coming back into the plenary. Let's wait a minute.
Thank you very much, everyone, for coming back. Sylvie, back to you.
Khurram. Thank you, Khurram, for the technologies. Everyone is back. Yeah. Well, I hope it was the beginning of fruitful discussions. Surely it is too short. It is always too short when we start discussing these big questions, no? So first question is, while applying quality and accountability in your work, what limitations and opportunities are you facing in your specific context? And second one, in your views, what key actions must be undertaken at a minimal level to uphold quality and accountability? So we would like now to hear the feedback from each group and then take time to have a discussion. May I suggest that we start with the group from Afghanistan, who was together with you, Khurram, and listen to the reporter for a few minutes. Who is the reporter for Afghanistan? Over to you.
Yeah, it was Mazhar Iqbal from Mazhar, please.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Please put your camera on if you wish, and we listen to you. Thank you.
Thank you. It's Qamar Iqbal here. We discussed different situations around the question, and even we shared, one of the participants shared the example that how sometimes we need to have to change during the implementation, and I will go with the step by step. Like we discussed that there are three key aspects that can be very useful during to ensuring the quality and accountability. These are participation, coordination, and communication. So if we ensure the participation of all the stakeholders and including the communities at every step of project cycle management, it can ensure that the minimum requirements that can be ensured for the quality and accountability. And likewise, coordination is very important among all the stakeholders so that they can have on a single page and they can have a better understanding of the interventions, what the organization is going to deliver for the beneficiaries, and what processes they will be taken up, and the processes to complete their interventions. And thirdly, the communication, likewise, it is very important aspect to be open in the communication with stakeholders, like all the criteria or process of selections of the beneficiaries, or even the different complaint or feedback mechanisms should be clearly communicated among the stakeholders so that they can approach to all the available options for complaint or feedback mechanism. And one of the participants shared that due to some of times we have traditional type of responses, so we need to have changings in our implementation during the implementation. And like one of the participants shared that due to feedback received from different stakeholders, they need to change different items from the NFI kit they were distributing among the target areas. And if we talk about the challenges or limitations, so we discussed that engaging the communities and ensuring their participation, especially during the assessment and design level, it is one of the major challenges that usually we have to face. And for that, we come up with the solution that different agencies have done very innovative tools are available now to take up and resolve this issue and to ensure the participation of communities, especially during the design and assessment phase. One tool we discussed is MIDA, that is multi-sectoral initial or rapid need assessment. It ensures that when you are using this tool to conduct the assessment, you are taking up the feedback from the communities directly. What are their needs, especially the needs of the people with disabilities, special needs of children, special needs of women, and special needs of older people. And because these are the most marginalized groups while implementing any humanitarian response programs. And second tool, which I have learned through working with one of the humanitarian agencies, the PFAME tool. It is People First Impact Method tool. It is also one of the best, I must say that, best tool to assess the needs of the communities, because it specifically focuses on listening to the communities rather than to going for just discussing with communities. It is more focused on the listening to the communities, and 90% of the tool utilization is around the community discussion, goal-free discussion from the communities, what are their needs, and prioritizing of the needs from the communities. So such tools are available for ensuring the participation and engagement of the communities around the project cycle management. And secondly, different complaint and feedback mechanisms that are, I must say, traditionally we are already applying in different contexts, like at office-based, we have at office-based level, we do have staff for listening to the complaints or feedback and recording those complaints in the log sheet. Then we have different mechanisms at field level, like installing complaint boxes in the targeted areas in the communities, and then the use of toll-free phone or specific or dedicated email for, so that the people, beneficiaries, stakeholders can share their feedback or complaint. But we also discussed that government stakeholders, tribal elders, notables, community natural leaders, beneficiaries, all these stakeholders must be sensitized and clearly communicated about the criteria, selection process, and what the specific interventions we are going to do, so that people have understanding about the overall program, and specifically regarding the beneficiary selection, so that their complaints can be at the minimum level, as their understanding about the program will be maximum. But in Pakistan perspective, I must say that the traditional complaint and feedback mechanisms, like installing complaint box or to having just a toll-free number, it is not working. Because we are here, we will be listening to other groups' feedback as well, so that there may be some innovative ideas and tools that different organizations are applying in different contexts, so we can learn from that. But it is a very challenge that people are not getting back, and we did not receive so much complaint or feedback around this, and it is a very challenging situation.
Thanks, Kamal. Yeah, thanks, Kamal. Mohib, you want to add something?
Just I want to add something,
okay,
but specifically mention Iqbal Sahib, just how to ensure that accountability and quality is in our project. Based on the feedback mechanism, we should open the way and give a meaningful influence over decision making of the project beneficiary. That should be in an inclusive way, non-discriminatory, and accounts for diversity of the community, because in the communities in Afghanistan, there are diversity is also important. Some marginalized group is there, and some, like in Afghanistan, for this era that now the political turnover in Afghanistan, women's voice is really heard in our country. because they need protection. We should design our response according to their needs. How to get their voices in our response. That's very important. We should give a meaningful influence over decision making according to that, and also sharing our information effectively and transparently about our response to the beneficiary prior to deliver the response at the pre-stage, and also give community opportunity to assess our response. Like I mentioned before, NFI kits, that was we changed that kits because they should assess and they should alter our response items, or even they have the right to sank our response if this is not according to their
needs.
Their needs. The second thing is that why this accountability is not there is some limitation or obstacles, because during the design of our responsive program, we have not integrated accountability to the affected population in our program design. That's very important. We should have this accountability to the affected population in our whole cycle of our response, to the cycle of their one. That is a very important thing. Thank you, Over.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Sylvie. This is from the group of Afghanistan and rest of Asia.
Thank you, Khurram and colleagues, contributors. Very interesting to see that you're really pushing on the initial assessment and the design. No, but we will listen to the other groups and then we can have a discussion on this. Thank you to your group. Can we listen to the group from Syria with Corita facilitating? Can you please come in and share your feedback with us? Over to you. Thank you.
I think in our group we had a very nice discussion. Of course, it was too short, but Fadi will give us the short summary of this discussion. So Fadi, please, you can come in.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Sylvie. Thank you, Corita. I'll try to summarize what we've discussed in 20 minutes in like 5 minutes. Actually, for the limitations, and when I say we, for the rest of my speech, I mean the group and I, we believe that we still have most of the points are actually focused on the Syrian context, a very twisted context when it comes to humanitarian interventions and everything. Actually, it's very twisted. So for the limitation, I believe that we still need to. We believe that the quality team and the program team, they don't get along all the time, because recently in Syria, we started focusing on the quality because we are at the transition phase from emergency to recovery. That's why we focus more now on quality. So we need to get more harmony between the program stuff and the quality stuff. Another one is that we think that we focus too much on how to comply to the donors' requirements, how to comply to the authorities' requirements. We focus more on these things more than even the ensuring the effectiveness of the interventions sometimes. That may sometimes affect the effectiveness of our intervention. Another limitation is that the ability to implement the community engagement. We need to emphasize more on the community engagement as a whole component, actually, because for sure we develop proposals, we develop budgets based on some secondary data, on some rapid needs assessment. Sometimes we may implement, but we need to involve more the community, the target communities, when developing our interventions. This is one of the limitations in Syria. Another one is that we face a lack of coordination between the humanitarian actors on the ground in Syria. When it comes to coordination, we still believe that humanitarian actors need to coordinate more between each other so that they can deliver quality assistance They need to share more information. They need to share more knowledge, experiences between each other. The last point when talking about the limitation is that we need to spread awareness among the target communities regarding the importance of the feedback, complaint and feedback mechanism. Because, okay, we go to the community sometimes, whether by phone or door-to-door visits or whatever modality we use, they think that we just ask questions. They don't know the purpose of this question. We need to have them know the importance of collecting these data, that we are collecting these data so that we can deliver a better assistance in the upcoming interventions. Yeah, the last thing is that we know that it's difficult to be achieved, but we need to have some kind of unified referral mechanism between all the humanitarian actors. It's not easy, it takes time, it's not easy to be accomplished. We know that, but we believe that this is one of the limitations. We don't have a unified referral system or mechanism. For the opportunities, nowadays we have more and more humanitarian actors are allowed to implement in Syria. They are authorized. The number is increasing day by day. So I believe that there is a good chance to have more coordination between these actors. For example, we can have a unified reporting system. We know how reporting can be costly, it's exhausting when it comes to human resources, logistic, financial resources. We spend much time and money on doing reports. It could be easier, actually. Again, there is an opportunity as the number is increasing, the number of humanitarian actors is increasing. There is an opportunity to share more the information, knowledge, experiences, which is, we believe that it will be very effective. One of the most important opportunities in Syria actually is the acceptance that the local NGOs, they have by the target communities. We have some local NGOs here and they already gained the acceptance of the communities. This is something we can rely on when developing future interventions, and it would be very useful to deliver quality assistance. Well, for the actions, and for sure they will be related to the opportunities and limitation, we believe that we need to emphasize on the community engagement as a whole component in every project, whatever sector we're talking about. For example, if we talk about the protection sector, we can manage to have some community committees from the target communities so that they can do some risk mapping, for example. They can develop proposals that can decrease the level of risk in their community and stuff like that. Yeah, and actually we need to consider the quality part when developing budgets. We need to consider the quality part. We need to allocate more resources for the quality, again, as a component, actually. The last point is that to emphasize again on the capacity building not only for the local NGOs or for the volunteers, capacity building even for the people of the target communities. There are several ways that we can build their capacity. We're talking about several sectors, for example, early recovery and livelihood or protection or whatever sector we're talking about. There are several ways that we can build the capacity of the people of the communities so that we can rely on in future interventions. Again, the community committees is one of the methodologies to implement this action. And I believe that's all. And if I forgot something, maybe the other colleagues may help me. Thank you.
Fadi, many thanks for your feedback. Are there supplementary points from your group or comments that colleagues would like to add on? Key ones that were not considered by you in the feedback, or anything someone would like to add on now? If not,
if I can add one point that was also mentioned just on behalf of the group,
please.
that it's as a key action point the key action is also more conversation between international NGOs and UN on one side and the national local NGOs, again, for the case of Syria, because and to really take as serious the inputs and ideas, experiences of the local NGOs. So often have maybe a more realistic idea on what is feasible and what is possible. So I think that's also important to bring up here.
Excellent. Thank you, Corita, for adding this point. Yeah, and we'll take it into account in those action points we want to consider. Thank you. Shall we head into the third group and listening to the feedback from the other group on with Syria participants led by you, Dina, in Arabic. So I had to leave you, but it was really nice to start the discussion in Arabic. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Sylvie. So basically we had the discussion in our group, it was in Arabic, and I will call Diab. So he will be speaking on behalf of the group. The discussion was fruitful and many ideas come up, but time was limited, unfortunately. But it's always like when you see the timer at the end, when you think, oh my goodness, I should mention this and I should talk about this. It was really nice. Over to you, Diab.
Thank you, Dina. Hello. Well, my colleagues and I have discussed a bit about the complaints, this part, and accountability at first. Many of the beneficiaries have problems because they aren't seeing any results, any actual results about their complaints. They have that general idea that if I complain, nothing might happen, or if they complain, they might get. They have a fear of the aftermath of the complaints because it might affect them negatively. They might not be able to get any more services or any help in other ways, or they might do harm for other people. This is the general idea in our society, though. So that's one of the challenges we get: accountability and complaints. There isn't any awareness about complaints in a lot of places. We have several methods. For instance, with me at COPADER, we have complaint box. We're activating hotline, email, and stuff, but and they are very useful. But still, people say, "Oh, we didn't know that." Although we are very much campaigning and spreading awareness on them, there's still some people out of the loop. They don't know that there are they aren't aware about complaint mechanism.
Diab, please, sorry to interrupt, Diab. It's a little bit hard to hear you. Can you increase the voice? Thank you.
Yeah, is this better?
Perfect.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Yeah, one of the problems is the people aren't aware about the complaints mechanism and are afraid of it, or they think that it's useless, which we are trying slowly and surely to remove that thought. Another challenge from ours is security points. For instance, we have this situation in Al-Hasaka, which my colleague also said, that the NGOs are trying to help there, other NGOs are trying to help there, but they don't have any access to it. For COPA, we are trying to go there. We've managed to go to several locations, but still it is very limited. And that's a very big effect on quality of the things we're trying to do. Another point was being said was the inability to communicate with the community leaders or societies in there, because mostly when we try to talk to them, most of the feedback we get it a bit personal. They're seeking personal gain for them or for their close family and friends. There's sometimes communication problems that they don't tell us the full extent of the problems, or they don't tell us the extent of the needs that in that area. So we do need assessment, we do focus group, we do KIIs, but still there's sometimes few missing information. Another point which my colleague Fadi as well has said, and we called it, with the lack of communities between the NGOs and the mapping between organizations about services, about the ways we can help. Like if there's a service that isn't provided with us, might be provided with another NGO, and we can all work together. We can work together to help the beneficiary as much as possible with everything in our disposal. One of the solutions we've said is a correct mapping between the NGOs, and another is to have an active training like this one for the service providers, about like the core humanitarian standards and other things, so they can have the full idea about the services that we can provide, about the best way to bring a project to its full extent, to being implemented in every way possible. So yeah, these are the points that we've talked about it. Another point which is challenge, that some beneficiaries seek immediate help, like they just want service to take a kit or to take help, for instance, with the surgery and stuff, and we later on try to reach them to tell them about they can get another help, we can get them in another program, we can help them more, but they aren't aware about the services, and they push back. They don't seek any more communication with us. We try to communicate, but they just say, no thanks, I just got what I need, I don't need anything more. So that's one of the problems that affects our quality. So yeah, these are the points. If any point was missing, I apologize for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Diab. Dina, any points you want to add, or anyone else from the group would like to add on this feedback led by Diab? All good? Dina, is it fine?
Yeah, I believe only one point was like how to engage the communities in the design step. This has been brought up, I believe, from one of the colleagues. Yeah, it's just like how we can focus on the communities and engage them in the design, not like come with the assistance without engaging them with the design of the project. Over to you, Sylvie.
Sorry, have we listened to all groups, all feedback? Yeah?
Yes, Sylvie.
Yes, Kuram, this is fine?
Yes, this is fine. We have heard all the groups.
Thank you. Thank you. So let me try to recap what we've heard here. And first of all, thank you to all of you. I would like to say a few things. First, excellent indicator that time is too short. When you start these discussions, you have a lot to say, and time is too short, but it's not the end of it. This is the first group work we're having, and we will have lots of other opportunities and discussions on these topics. Second point is, it is extremely interesting to remember that the backbone for initiating those quality and accountability projects, such as SPHERE, and what has become now the core humanitarian standards, the backbone was about better coordination, people, community engagement and participation, etc. And this is what we are still pointing out. You've been highlighting the need for, especially the need for community participation at the design stage. And what you're pointing here is the need for people to take part in decisions, because we knew that through the assessment, the initial assessment and the design, we are going to make decisions on what will be the project and what will be implemented. And this is where we not mostly, but we really want to have people's voices. We want people to contribute. We want community to decide on what will be the priority actions in their context based on what they think are their needs. And this is where you mentioned we have tools. Of course, we have initial and rapid assessment tools. We have MIRA, we have people first impact method, PFIM. We have a lot of others. But do we apply them properly? Is a question mark. You mentioned a lot the complaints and feedback mechanisms. And this is one of the means we have in our hand to ensure that we have channels for two-way communications. It's not only about receiving feedback or complaints, it's about how do we use that and re-inject into the project cycle, into the monitoring and then the evaluation, cycle. It's about a referral mechanism. You were saying in one group, what about the reporting system? Can we have joint ones? How do we ensure more coherence, more global joint work between international, national, local organizations and initiatives? How do we coordinate? That was another point, coordination. You mentioned coordination. So let's ensure that we record this properly. Thank you, Zunera, who is taking notes, because we want to use this and go back from those considerations you've highlighted here and link up with some of the tools we have and do standards on quality and accountability. How do we get into practical steps to work better on community engagement, assessment and design, complaints and feedback mechanisms, coordination, and make things happen in better ways, in more effective ways at field level. So this is what we're going to pursue, to continue together. It was also interesting that you mentioned capacity building at different levels. And I hope we are going to dig into this together. It's capacity building for NGOs, but you were saying for communities also. And I would like to recall here that when we started working with Sphere project and what was the ancestor of the core humanitarian standard called HAP in the year 2000, one big objective on the table was capacity building of communities, of local organizations and communities. Where are we at now? How can we push further this? It's the localization agenda? Is it something else? And how are we active on this? How are we leaders and actors, leading on this at the field level? This will also be a discussion. I'd like to stop here for a minute. If anyone wants to add on, to comment, let's take this time together now. So please raise your hand and add on any point as a follow-up. I see here one comment from Kamar. Yeah, on localization. Yeah, and advocacy. And this is something we can discuss also, and that can be part of the improvement plans. How do we work on advocacy and jointly, back to one of your group discussion, local NGOs, international NGOs supporting advocacy, global advocacy for access. How do we use our principles for that purpose? Can be very interesting and effective. Comments? Any other thoughts? Facilitators, Kuram, Dina, Zainab, Korita, Zunera, do you want to add on from what you've heard in the groups?
Just a few points, like the discussion from the group was well captured by Kamar and Mohib and others. But few things that were in discussion is like, how to be community at the core of the humanitarian response, because sometimes the interventions are designed taking into account the community's inputs and community's information data collection proper. But sometimes, like Mohib was also sharing, that sometimes it's in the process that we get lost or we are not on the track, and sometimes we miss few details in the process, and where we lose the trust among the communities and among the stakeholders. So it's very important, very vital to keep the engagement of all the stakeholders and keep the process inclusive and participatory at all stages throughout the program cycle management.
Thank you, Khurram, for recalling the program cycle management. So maybe this is what we would like to highlight here at the end of this session today, is that it's very logical for us to review quality and accountability, safeguarding, implementation, application throughout the various phases of the program or project cycle management. And here, of course, there will be a big focus on assessment, initial assessment, and design, because it will pave the way for the rest of the cycle. But the other thing we can mention already is that discussing coordination means we can link up this program cycle management with the humanitarian program cycle from UN agencies and global coordination. And we have an opportunity here to advocate and to ensure that we link up at various stages. So this is a discussion we can have also in the other sessions. There are discussions on the need to have more coherence at each stage. So this is absolutely key. Yeah, and I see this comment on linking to the clusters platform. Of course, we need to be much more coherent. It's easy to say, it's not always easy to do, but what I'd like to emphasize here also is that sometimes we need to be much more simple, going back to what is functioning, or can we ensure that things are functioning? When we say participation, when we say involving communities at the design stage, do we really do it? Does it work? And of course, it applies to complaints and feedback mechanisms. What are we designing? Can we have a joint approach? And can we just make sure it's functioning and it's inclusive? Only this is already enormous if it is working. So we will see that we will probably get back to very basic notions, but this is how we want to work. Go from simpler actions, make them work, and then slowly build on those. So thank you, Khurram, for your feedback. Any other comments, input?
Can I add something?
Please, Corita.
Yeah, also from reflecting on the discussion, the short discussion, the rich discussion in our group, I think it would also be very interesting and relevant also in the upcoming sessions for the group to reflect on how to make it work in our specific context, because it might also be a bit, how should I say, discouraging to hear all the big words of participation and etc., accountability, and then reflecting for, I assume people will here also in the group will think, okay, but how to make it work in our situation where, for example, access is already complicated, access to beneficiaries, being able to talk with community members, how to then in those kind of situations, how to do an assessment, how to involve people in design. I mean, it's a big topic, maybe not for now, but I think it would be good to keep that in mind and to reflect together on how practically, what is possible and how to make it work.
Excellent, thank you, Corita. And yes, this is why we have this longer process than just a discussion. This is where we want to work on improvement plans and really dig into following those sessions, how do we make it happen really practically, effectively? So maybe a few keywords here, make it more simple and balance common sense with principles. What is the red line? What is what we need to see happening? What is what we need to respect? What are the musts in a mechanism we put in place? And then we focus on this. And I would like to insist on the notion of two ways. For example, when we speak of participation, of complaints, feedback mechanisms, etc., how do we ensure that within those issues, constraints, limitations we have in terms of access, how do we ensure that those mechanisms are two ways? Okay, and this is where we go back to power issues. So it's a big topic falling on a small mechanism, but it makes a lot of sense. If our complaints and feedback mechanism or community engagement is not two ways, then it might be useless. So what are the musts so that we make it being very iterative? If we get a feedback and we cannot adjust the project or the program on the way, does it make sense? How do we communicate with populations and communities, etc., etc.? So yes, we will work in this direction, and we will work in a way that we do get into practical tips and actions to ensure that we improve, that we consider what is the context, what are the actions already happening or to be designed, and how do we ensure that we improve all this. More comment, input?
Referring
Yes,
to
please.
referring to this challenge, like the access is one of the challenge, as mentioned by one participant colleague here. I think in such circumstances, we also need to explore the other assessments that might be done by UN agencies. We may refer to those existing work that has been done in the same context, or like so that we may have some extent of the already work that has been done and captured by some other agency, or even in some other area that has likewise context. We may like within the conflict situation, if we don't have directly access to the beneficiaries at the assessment and design level, we may refer back to some other African context where people are basically having the same type of conflict zone, and we may have some knowledge about the process and of those areas, so that we may contextualize the needs by considering the already work that has been done.
Thank you, Kamar. Yeah, using what is produced and probably communicating we go back to coordination, isn't it? Let's remember that those initiatives we are working with now on quality and accountability were created just after the genocide in Rwanda in '94. And we had more, I used to work there, we had more than 250 NGOs working in a context of post-genocide and not coordinating well enough. And the conclusion of a joint evaluation was that coordination could have saved lives. I'm just coming back from a few years in Ethiopia, where our conclusion now of the ongoing evaluation following 1 year of conflict in the northern part of the country is the same. And what you are pointing out from your context is very similar. So we still face difficulties in sharing information, in coordinating, in running joint assessments for the benefit of the people, of the communities. So the idea is really to get back to the people-centered approach, what we are doing and trying to improve, and to ensure that we are gaining from all what the others are doing and working better jointly. And probably trying to put together the good theory we have and the hard work we are doing in the field, you know, and just putting this together to be a bit, yeah, again, a bit better, doing better in very difficult contexts where it's not so easy to apply what we've put on the paper. So thank you for your comments. I think here we would like to close in few minutes, but we have a proposal for individual work. It will be quite short, but we would like to ask you to do it as a back-to-back exercise to this session. So first thing now is we have an evaluation of this session. This is the first time we meet. It will be followed by several other sessions. Next one is on Thursday, same time, and it will be a very comprehensive update on SPHERE, the core humanitarian standard and the humanitarian standards partnership. So we will do benefit from presentations, but also options to get more details about new tools that have been drawn in the past months and years. And that is beneficial for all of us. Then we can see and link up with what we've been discussing today and further implementation. This will be in the next sessions. So now we have a time to reflect on how this session went and what you're looking for the next sessions. The individual work, I would like to share now with you. Just give me a second, please. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. Can you please confirm you can see the screen?
Yes, we can see.
If you can please take 5 to 10 minutes after this session and before getting back to your work, lunch, dinner, and many other things you have to do. Please take time to reflect on how you would apply quality, accountability, and safeguarding, ideally throughout the project program cycle in your context. What could you do to ensure you apply concretely those concepts through the project program cycle? If you already think you do it, how would you do it better? If you could send few lines, we would like to compile those, all your feedback, and share that as a mean to open the next session on Thursday. So please send a paragraph with your inputs on this to Dina for the participants from Syria and to Zainab from the participants from Asia, and copy me. So how would you or do you apply quality, accountability, and safeguarding throughout the project or the program cycle? It's a continuation from the discussions we've had just now. So please keep this question with you. Take 5 to 10 minutes after the session, in a short while, and send us your feedback. Few lines, not too generic, really applying to your context. Khurram, I think we want to head into the evaluation now. Can I give you the floor for this?
Thank you, Sylvie. Yes. Thank you, everyone. Just a short feedback from you. It will help us to reflect on few things and to see how we proceed in the future sessions.
Good. Khurram, we cannot see for now. We cannot see for now. Okay, it's coming. Thank you, Khurram.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's coming now. So I hope everyone can see the polls now.
Kuram, I'm not sure people have access to respond.
Did you see now? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kuram,
Yeah.
how can we insert like or select? You only
Zainab,
can
can
see
you?
like.
Okay. Zainab, can yeah.
No, wait, Adina, you being the co-host, you won't be able to participate in the poll.
The other can do it. Okay.
And other participants, they can.
So we have 5 responses up till now. Hiba submitted the poll. We have results from 57% of participant and counting more. Thank you, Najib.
Thank you. So Kuram, can we keep those responses and give feedback when we start the session on Thursday, please?
Sure, Sylvie, that is fine. Yeah.
Excellent. So please take time to end this evaluation. Let's recall the individual work we would like you to go through, please, and recall the timings for Thursday. So individual work. Can I close the poll, Kuram? Can we close the poll? Is that fine?
Sylvie, you can just minimize it. People
Okay.
will start.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, so individual work, few lines on how you do or would apply quality, accountability, and safeguarding throughout the project program cycle. Please send this to us. Thank you very much for your contribution today. And we are really looking forward this session on Thursday with the colleagues from CHS Alliance and SPHERE and the Humanitarian Standards Partnership, which will be another opportunity in this learning journey to share updates on quality, accountability, and safeguarding. Thank you very, very much. Nice end of the morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you are. And looking forward to meeting you on Thursday. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.
And thank you for all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Bye. Bye. Thank you. Bye.